Welcome. Thank you for joining us for what is sure to be an inspiring and fascinating conversation about artwork. We have three incredible artists here with us from the exhibition Interruption, which is on at the Meek Arts Center in West Vancouver currently. And you're going to meet them and hear all about their fantastic artwork and see some examples of it. My name is Stephen Snyder. I'm the Gallery and Communications Coordinator for the West Vancouver Community Arts Council, and we are thrilled to partner with the KMEEK to present art exhibitions in their space, just like this one. If you have comments or questions for our artists throughout this conversation, drop those in the chat and we will get to them. As I mentioned, the KMEEK, where this exhibit takes place, is a performing arts center in West Vancouver, which is on the unceded and traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples. Here on the North Shore, that is the Squamish Nation and the Tsleil-Waututh Nation. And we're incredibly grateful to our host nations for their stewardship of these lands since time immemorial, and incredibly grateful to be able to celebrate in all kinds of diverse arts and culture activities with our host nations, neighbors, and community members. So we are here with the fantastic artists from the exhibition Interruption. We have with us David Pacholko, Sanaz Ravasani. Excuse me a moment, sorry. And Samira Sukhatme. We're going to get to meet them all in just a little minute, but I'd like to let you know that if you're watching this, the exhibition is on until April 7th. So if you have the opportunity, please go and check it out and see everything in person. So in this exhibition, the traditional norms of art are interrupted by these three artists who are challenging conventions of design, representation, and form. And through their dynamic, abstracted artworks, we're all invited to question sort of established assumptions and open ourselves up to new ways of seeing and interpreting art and trying to figure out what these artists' visions is. So let's get to it and meet our fantastic artists. Let's start with Samira. Samira, could you please introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about you?
Yeah, hi. Well, before I begin, I would like to thank, West Vancouver Arts Council and the KMEEK for giving me this opportunity. And thanks, Stephen, for hosting this. So yeah, I'm an artist working in East Vancouver, and I've been kind of a full-time artist, you can say, for the last 8 years now. My journey began in Mumbai, where I grew up in a family with lots of creative people, and I had lots of exposure to art and design, when I was young. Moving on, I studied architecture. But art was always like a part of my life. And I think I've had like many, life-turning moments in my life, but I think the three most important, moments were the first time when my art teacher taught me how to use acrylic paint. Uh, and that was like a wow moment for me, because to think that, oh, I can do anything with this material. I think the second one was when I was teaching design, and I would interact with so many young, creative minds. Imagine sitting in a class of 40 creative kids, and that was really a moment for me to think that, okay, maybe I want to do something beyond what I'm doing and take art full time. And also a nudge from the director of my architecture school then to, make art. So that was like kind of a validation for me to go do it. But I think the last and really, the last thing was, the cherry on the topping was spending a month in New York and just looking at art. So that was what pulled me here, the West. And then there was no looking back from there. Yeah, so that is to sum it up all, you know.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, Samira. Sanaz, could you please introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, I'm Sanaz, based on beautiful West Vancouver, and I'm originally from Iran. First of all, many thanks to West Vancouver Art Council for giving me this opportunity. That's amazing for me. And if I want to talk about my background, I would say that thanks to my artist mom, she's a realistic painter. I grew up with a deep passion of art. So I started learning different kind of art materials. I studied industrial design in Art and Architecture University of Tehran. And during this time I was studying there, I also started learning photography and also jewelry designing and jewelry making. And
Nice.
I did some exhibition for photography and jewelry designing. But still, even though I was trying different kind of art, still the painting held a special space, held a special, how can I say, place in my heart. So I never let the paintings just go. So during the challenge of pandemic and COVID, I was here alone. So I started learning Persian calligraphy through the online learning from a girl, talented young girl in my country. So this experience bring me a new idea that I can combine the abstract painting with this calligraphy, but in something different way. So that's it. I'm now really excited to share this artistic direction with you all.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. And finally, David, could you please let us know a little bit about you?
Sure, can do that. Thanks, first of all, to West Van Arts Council and Meek Center and for this opportunity. I've been a full-time artist since grade 6. That's when I won my first art competition, but didn't get paid for it, but that's all right. I got paid much later. So I'm classically trained as a graphic designer. I've been doing that, wow, well over 25 years working for myself. Working mainly for corporate clients, Costco, Odlum Brown, City of Port Moody, Coquitlam, Metro, or the GVRD, Burnaby School District, and so on. So I was doing that 20 plus years, and then early 2000s, I decided to just investigate abstract art, mixed media art, and I consulted a art associate, and they liked my work, and then I just started improvising. Basically, my work, I don't go from a sketch, just improvise it, and kind of what happens. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I feel with abstract art, there's no mistakes. I kind of see them, but you just keep moving forward and experimenting, trying different media, supplies, and techniques. You just keep experimenting. So, and you find inspirations in many forms. Sometimes they just show up. Other times they're just sitting there in the back of your psyche, and they eventually show up in your paintings. So, and I started, I think, early 2000s to do mixed media work, and I've been fortunate to have 18 shows so far. And I've also branched out to doing public art, and I've had a number of wins doing that. So kind of balance doing my graphic work and then my mixed media work. It makes for a nice blend.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. It was great to get those little tidbits, and there's some common threads already. You've all had backgrounds in various sort of design fields, where you obviously learn the basics of composition, line, color, form, space, all of that stuff. But now you've all kind of you're all working in sort of the fine art world. That's pretty interesting and fascinating to be able to move into that sphere from that other one. It sounds like it's something that was kind of always in all of you, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. So
Yeah.
now we're going to take a quick tour of the show, just a couple minutes, just to give you an idea of kind of what it looks like, and hopefully for everyone watching, inspire you to come on in and check it out. So this is on the this is the view you would come in and see on the atrium, the Grosvenor Theater atrium. The Meek has 2 theaters, and so we get to display artwork in both of their lobbies. So we start off with some of David's fantastic work here. I really get to see, we'll get into it a little bit later, but if anyone has anything they want to say while we're going on this tour, please feel free. But I know we're all going to talk a little bit more in depth about certain pieces of artwork a little bit later. But now we move on to Sanaz, some of your fantastic work that incorporates calligraphy into the painting.
I love those translucent,
cool.
layers of calligraphy in some of the paintings.
Thanks, Samira.
Are they all done by hand? This calligraphy?
Yes, with a small brush.
Very tiny brush. They're
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you.
And then we've moved on to some work by Samira here. Yeah, that's it for the first floor, and then you go down to the second theater in the McEwen Theater. We have more artwork from everyone, continuing a lot of the same themes. Yeah, again, some more of Sanaz's fantastic work.
So are those just characters, or they're actually a story or a phrase?
Not actually. They are something like different alphabet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The shapes are very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm Ukrainian, and we have a Cyrillic alphabet, but that's nowhere near as this.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, those letters on their own are very nice, got nice shapes.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see your architecture background in your work.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
So with the orange kind of, is that that comes out, that's the 3D part. What is that?
Are you asking me, David?
Yes, the orange
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah, that's embroidery thread.
Cool.
Yeah, it's all tied up at the back.
Oh, so you got art on the back as well.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah, all of the different layers that you have going on, Samira, are so
Mhm.
intriguing to just kind of discover everything that you've done.
So much energy in these.
Thanks. the whole series was inspired by the wild birds at our property.
Mhm.
So we can see them from our living room, and I put out a bunch of feeders and so many varieties, different colors. And yeah, they just, for some reason, it just struck a chord with me. And in some of them, you can actually see the birds' beaks in the black, like a silhouette. That was not kind of done on purpose. That just happened.
It makes it so much more interesting now that you shared the backstory, you know.
And I didn't realize it until after some of them were finished. They go, oh, that actually looks like a profile of mostly it was the blue jays that inspired it. And then, like I said, I have a giant bird book that shows all the different birds. Like there's one at the top.
Oh yeah, I can totally see that.
And then when I'm out there feeding them, you can feel their wings fluttering and the energy from them whizzing all around. Sometimes there's like 20, 30 birds out there.
Interesting. I'm sure we'll learn a little bit more about it as we go, but just the inspirations for everyone's work. Like David's talking about these birds he sees, and this is how he's translating them. And Samira, your work definitely references landscapes, and Sanaz, you're working with these characters from this alphabet, but transforming them. So you're all seeing things that we can all see, but really sort of turning them into something else, which is pretty cool. Awesome. So that's the exhibit. Just a quick little taste. That video really doesn't do it justice. You really have to go in to be able to take everything. As we saw, someone had mentioned, Sanaz has these almost transparent layers of calligraphy that just sort of come out in the light, and then to see all of the different layers of materials on Samira's pieces, and to really get a feel for all of the differences in the blacks and colors in David's work. You really got to go see it. I really recommend everyone check it out. Just have a few comments here. I think maybe we'll get to them right now, and then before we move on to the next part of our talk, we have Rinsari Art says or asks, what enriches your art practice? For example, what is something that you learned along your journey as an artist? And I guess that's going to be to everyone. If anyone has anything to answer to that, please feel free.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes, totally.
Yes.
What enriches your art practice? What is something you learned along your journey as artists?
I think it's to it might sound cliche, but it's to, you know, it's mostly you're making art for yourself, and the more you understand that, and obviously external validation matters if you want to be a full-time artist, but I think my art practice, I feel like when I gave myself freedom and acceptance to truly be myself, I think that journey really, I think, enriched my art.
Sanaz or David, anything you wanna say in those regards?
I would say just being observant about everything, and we went first time ever. I lived in Vancouver all my life, and now I'm in Mission, so I'm born and bred here. First time last year we went to the Tulip Festival. So just all those colors, I don't know if they were still there and came out in this series, but that'll be another, I think, series that I'll do. But it's just experiencing different things and then just kind of locking those away. And they eventually come up, and just having different experiences. And like I work for the corporate world, but then my work is total opposite. So having that freedom to do that, that enriches my fine art.
And if I want to add something to what my friend said, I would say that try different materials during your experience, because when sometimes you have something in your mind, but you don't know how you should make it real. So if you know which material can do what, then you can choose the best material to just to express your idea in your canvas or on paper, I don't know. If you try different material, then you can easily reach to your goal. I think it's the best idea for doing that.
Well, those are all great answers, everyone. Thank you so much. Yeah, and anyone else watching, if you have questions or comments, please leave those in the chat and we will get to them. Now, each artist has selected one of the works that is currently on display, and we're going to have a look at it, and they're going to share some of their inspirations and process behind them. Since we just ended with you, Sanaz, talking about trying new things, let's pull up your stunning painting. Excellent. Could you please tell us about this fantastic work?
Yeah. Okay. If I want to talk about this piece of my art, I would say that I had always the idea to just put the abstract art with something new, with an element like I wanted to make something as my signature. So especially from my background, I really love, after my immigration to Canada, I was thinking I need to do something with my background here. So as I mentioned before, I started learning calligraphy during the pandemic when I was here. So I thought maybe it's good to just have this combination of modern and traditional. So after learning that, I thought myself I would do something with this alphabet, but in a different way. Then I came up with the idea of the word echoes. So just like unspoken words, like they come to your mind, they flow, and they are in your head, but you don't say them loudly. So thinking with these words, I didn't want to focus on this alphabet itself, so I tried to paint them as small as I can. So I use the small brush to see if it works or not. And then I finally, when I tried, I give it a try. So I saw it's really worked. And then, as I said, I was thinking about words like echoes or unspoken words, so they have flow, they are like dynamic, so I try to make the shape like flowing. So, and I believe that if someone look at these paintings, everyone can feel them without trying to read these letters. So they become a part of my paintings, just like the colors, just like the lines, just like some dots, and like the element of the painting. And to be honest, actually myself, I want to have more muted color in my painting rather than lots of different. I love that paintings also, but for myself, I'm thinking if someone wants to decorate the house, maybe the muted color can help with this whole idea. So I try to just use more muted color and then some sharp colors. Like sometimes I use like gold leaf for these alphabet, or like the line with a color, a sharp color, but the whole painting mostly are the muted color. Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
Very
wonderful.
nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much for sharing. And it's just have a question about I know you mentioned in terms of you're not trying to actually say any words or anything. I'm just curious as how you choose which letter forms to use. Is it more just a simply design, like how you think certain shapes and curves will work together?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just start with you know, the word H you have in Farsi, we have hair, and the shape of hair is really beautiful. I use lots of hair like H in this. Like I sometimes when I want to focus for something. When I have pen and paper, I just write lots of hair in the paper. Yeah, I love the shapes of these letters.
It's very cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Next, let's go with David. Pull up your painting here, and could you please tell us about this fantastic work?
Okay. Well, since I said earlier, it's inspired by the birds in our backyard. This one is inspired by Stellar Jay. And at the very top, you can see the silhouette of its beak from the side profile. So I kind of took it, if you just took a slice mid action, their wings are out and the colors are there. It's only for an instant. So I work with, this is black enamel and then acrylics and then alcohol inks. So I'm giving away all my secrets now. I work really quickly with the black. Do that first. No sketch, just take a spatula and see where the mood takes me. And then I let it dry for a couple of days, and then I start adding the layers of the inks over and over. And because they're alcohol inks and I'm working on paper, I got to work really, really quickly. So that kind of adds to the energy and the lines everywhere. And I had an exhibit years ago, and I told the curator that I work really quickly, and it's, maybe 2 days and it's done. And he said, no, don't say that. Telling me you agonized and it took you forever, and then you had an epiphany. And I go, well, it doesn't work with these. I just, like I said, very on an improv, and it's much like a bird's flight. So that's kind of how these came about.
Oh, wonderful. That's great to hear. I'm curious as to using the types of materials you're talking about. You're using alcohol inks and that kind of thing, but also using enamel. That's a pretty interesting material. How did that come about?
It's kind of what I had on hand, and I've used it before, but when you see it in person, this doesn't do it justice, but when you see it in person, you can see like a high gloss part, and then you can see the translucent part of the black as the base, and it gives a bit of a depth. Plus, when I'm using the other colors, the enamel doesn't run. So sometimes we use acrylic and I'll end up bleeding some stuff that I don't want to bleed. So this kind of keeps its integrity. And that's just found out by fluke, by experimenting.
Yeah.
And then the other ones, I reverse it. I do all the ink colors first. then I layer the black on top. So it's just same process, just opposite.
Yeah. Oh, very cool.
And after David mentioned about the birds, I can find them. It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Totally.
Yeah, I have to say the enamel is an interesting selection, and I believe these are all on paper, right?
Yes, it's all on watercolor. 135 pound, because I was doing some other
Okay.
work with acrylics and the paper kept on puckering. And like I said, I work really quickly. There's some ones that are discarded. I haven't tried it on canvas yet, but that'll be the next one to experiment with the alcohol inks on canvas and see if I get more time to play with the alcohol inks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very cool. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. And then next, we've got a very fascinating, another fascinating artwork. And this one here from Samira. Please tell us about this really cool painting.
Okay, so this one is called Vibrant Whistler Vistas. It's 3 feet wide and 4 feet tall. And I mean the process I have for this, I usually do that for all my landscape paintings. And so it usually starts off with like a photograph of a place in BC. And I think when I moved to Canada 5 years ago, it was really hard not to be inspired by the mountains here. So most landscapes are inspired by places I've been to in BC. And so just like this one, all the others, they usually have, I start with like a little sketch, and that sketch is like literally like a few lines just to get an idea of, what the shape of the mountain is. And most of them, have water bodies, because in BC, you either have rivers or lakes or the ocean, right? And that's what inspires me, having, mountains along with the water body. And then I have a color scheme usually in place. And it's basically just building layer on top of layer. So I have the base layer, and then I draw the sketch of the mountains from the photograph. And pretty much after that, I kind of discard the photograph. I never look back at the photo. And I keep building layer on top of layer. And every layer is kind of intended to be a different, create a different effect. So some of these are, many of these are done in a really flat brush, followed by, layers in oil pastels. Sometimes I have a roller brush that I move over, like you can tell there's a roller brush in this. There are also sometimes I actually just have like, paint. I made it like really very, very liquid, and I kind of just throw it on the canvas, and I let the paint drip. I do have a deep love for seeing paint drip. And I try to think that why I like to watch paint drip, but it could have been like just, growing up living in Mumbai, having to see like really heavy rains, and, seeing the water drip on your glass windows. And I think as a child, I was just like, just standing by the window and watching like, water drip on the glass. So I think I just have this deep want to see water drip, and I love to do that with my paint. So I have like a spray, and I kind of just spray at places, and I love watching it drip. And I think the main aim for me is to create a very engage the viewer into the art, and also to remember I'm also the viewer, right? So I'm deeply lost in the process. This is a lot about the process for me. And honestly, I don't know what a painting is going to look like in the end. So once I like have all my like these, I have fun, have all the layers, crazy layers going on. And then after that, I'm like, okay, now, I need to start like, bringing the focal point here. So that's when the controlled layers, the darker layers start coming on top. And then you can see at the bottom of the painting where I have, these angled layers. That's also to show the border, right? And then I bring some of the markers so you can see the black lines in there. And I think once the painting is dry, I varnish it. And something that you cannot see in the photographs is the matte and the gloss varnish that I usually do. So unfortunately, you cannot ever catch that in no matter how good the photo is, you can never catch that. So yeah, so usually the bottom darker layers are gloss varnish, and that's done so that you can actually see the layers beneath it, right? And then once it's varnished, I do the embroidery. And also, like, while I work, I might change the color scheme. I might decide to go with a different color. Like, for example, for this one, I was going to go with yellow thread, but then eventually I picked neon green color, and I was like, why not? Like, I love neon. I wear neon, in my clothes. I paint my nails neon sometimes. Like, I love that color. So it should be in the art I make. So yeah, that's it. So, and then the embroidery comes last, and then the framing. So that's the process.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking us through your process. It's very interesting and involved. It sounds like there's a lot of push and pull and give and take, and this idea of building up layers is very interesting, because what you're doing is you're taking that idea of this landscape that sort of inspires you, to get all these sort of shapes and textures and colors and whatnot. I'm just curious as to why, what's the reasoning behind doing these more sort of interpretations rather than just outright painting a representational perfect landscape.
Yeah, I think for me, I obviously love traditional art, and I really admire artists who make that. And it's not easy, but I think for me, I see everything in a way of like a form or a shape. And I think it's also about, creating something playful that really engages the viewer in. So I think because of my background in architecture, I see everything in perspective. I see everything in a form or a wall or a plane, or and I think that the working in layers also comes from making so many plans, as a student, like you made a plan, and then you put another sheet on it, and you drew another plan, and you had to put it, and I really enjoyed that. When it moved on to the real world, everything was done on the computer, so I think I replicate that that same technique, but in art. And I think it's I actually do not enjoy making something the way it looks, exactly how it looks. And like I said, like, lots of respect for artists who do that, and it's not easy. But I think I would say my mind is a bit tainted now with with my background as a designer. So yeah, and I just want to have fun,
Mm-hmm.
Is that one all acrylics?
Mostly acrylics. However, there's like pastels in there and thread, so that, but yeah, it's 90% acrylic.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you all so much for sharing about those works, and it really speaks to sort of the larger body of work that you all have on display as well. You can find everything you've said about the one piece you can apply to all of the others, I think. We have a few more comments from people watching. Jackie Bradbury says, I see the architecture theme here now that Samira has explained her background. And Rinsari Art says, any hummingbirds in your artwork, David?
No, we mostly wild birds, but we do have a hummingbird feeder. They just haven't come out yet.
Fantastic. There's seems to be a real, all three of you have kind of mentioned this sort of sense of experimentation and exploration, kind of a spontaneity versus control and planning. How much do you think of that is attributed to just you as creatives, or maybe does that come from you coming from these backgrounds that have these such strict sort of guidelines and rules? Is this kind of your way of breaking free of that?
I would say doing graphic design, yes, there's certain rules. I mean, you're designing for a client and an audience, but other things like doing logo design, sometimes you just get to the doodle pad and you just sketch, and you have thoughts, you just kind of random thoughts and trying to pull it all together. So, and that times that design work is in flux, and it's more for an audience. My stuff is more for me, and if an audience likes it, that's so much better. But it is a sense of freedom when you're doing abstract art, I find.
Oh, wonderful. So I think we've heard a lot of fantastic things from our three talented artists. We've seen some of their beautiful work, which is full of layers and detail and interesting points that I think hopefully everyone watching, if you're watching this live or watching this afterwards, and you still have the opportunity to see it while it's up, please check out Interruption at the Meek Arts Center in West Vancouver until April the 7th. You can go in and see it anytime during the week between 10 and 4, or anytime there's a show at the Meek, a theater or concert programming. You can go in before that and go have a look and see all these beautiful works of art. Again, I would like to thank Samira Sukhatme, Sanaz Ravasani, and David Pacholko, excuse me, thank you for sharing their fantastic work with us and sharing their insights into their processes and inspirations with us this evening. It's been a fantastic conversation. And if you want to learn more about these artists or follow them, we've got links to socials and websites in the description of this video. So thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your work with us.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Stephen. Thanks for hosting this wonderful
Thank you
talk.
very much. Yeah,
Great
thank you
work,
for
everybody.
giving the opportunity. Thank you.
It's nice to meet you all.
Yes, likewise. Thanks, Stephen.
Excellent. Thanks so much. So please check out Interruption at the Meek Arts Center, and we'll talk to you. We'll see you all very soon with another artist talk. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you,
you.
everyone.